Hi, there have been a number of questions about advancement in Troop 100, so I thought I'd walk through the basics for everyone. And if you have any questions at the end of this, please feel free to drop me an email or contact your patrol leader. So the key base document for all advancement in the BSA is the Guide to Advancement. Here you can see a picture of the 2019 version, which as of today is the most recent version. Any question you have about advancement can be answered by reviewing this document, and it can be found online just by searching for Guide to Advancement BSA, and there will be a PDF that you can access. Okay, so the Guide to Advancement gives a lot of leeway to the Scoutmaster, and here you can see 4 recent Troop 100 or 8100 Scoutmasters, and they have the option or the opportunity to really share their vision on how advancement's going to work within the troop. Is it adult sign off? Is it scout sign off? What are the requirements for the scout signs off, and so forth? So what I'm going to do today is kind of walk through my vision, as well as give you some basics on the advancement process. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got a scout helping a tenderfoot out, moving them on to second class. And my vision is really a scout-led unit where the scouts are doing a majority of the teaching and sign-offs for the requirements up through first class. Okay, beyond that, the adults will jump in and help out, but really from the time a scout joins to the time they reach first class, the majority of their scout skills will be taught and then signed off by other youth members of the organization. Okay, so there are 4 steps to advancement, and we'll go through all these in some detail here. So first, the scout learns, then the scout is tested, reviewed, and recognized. So I think there's actually a question that you have to understand these 4 steps to get to the scout rank. So again, scout learns, is tested, is reviewed, and is recognized. Okay, so the scout learns. We use the EDGE method, so explain, demonstrate, guide, and enable, to do the education of scout skills in Troop 100. So there's 2 basic types of methods for teaching those skills. So we've got passive and more participatory skills. So the passive stuff is a lot of what we've kind of been doing during Zoom. So we've got lectures, reading, videos, maybe some demonstrations, and those obviously cover the explain and demonstrate portions of EDGE. And then the more participatory teaching methods include group discussion, practice by doing, and teaching others. And so we do a lot more of that when we're in person, and that covers the guide and enable portion of EDGE. So ideally, right now we are doing a lot of videos. We're doing some of those videos have demonstrations, and we're also doing some talking. But really, we want to get back to more hands-on teaching of the skills where we're doing like knot tying. I've got a rope in my hair. The SPL has a knot in their hands. You've got a knot or a rope in your hands, and you guys are going at it, tying knots. All right. So once you've learned it, you've got to get tested, right? And this chart here shows how I want the advancement sign-offs to happen in Troop 100. So on the trail to first class, so that's Scout, Tenderfoot, second class, first class, all the general requirements, which is to say everything that's not service hours, not Scout Spirit, not a Scoutmaster Conference or Board of Review, can be signed off by scouts that are first class and above, or a troop guide, a patrol leader, instructor, a JASM, Junior Assistant Scoutmaster. And then if necessary, if none of those individuals are available for some reason, an ASM or an SM can help out and do some sign-offs there. Okay, a couple things to note when you're doing those sign-offs. One is siblings. You shouldn't sign off siblings. Adult leaders should never sign off for their youth. And really, regardless of what position you hold in the troop, don't sign off a requirement if you don't know the skill. So for example, if you've forgotten the difference between a sheep bend and a sheep shank, you probably shouldn't be signing off the knot requirements, right? And that's no problem. If you don't know it, come talk to an adult or go talk to another scout, relearn the skill, and then you're happy, you're welcome to go sign off those requirements. Okay, service hours, regardless of the rank, should be signed off by either the advancement chair, who's currently Craig, an SM or an ASM, Scout Spirit, and obviously the Scoutmaster Conference will be signed off by the Scoutmasters or the ASMs. Okay, and that's all for Trail to First Class. Once you get to Starlight and Eagle, and then those palms, everything should be signed off by an adult. So, as of like, I guess, January 1st, 2021, we shouldn't see any requirements signed off for Star, Life, and Eagle by a youth member of the troop, unless obviously it's got a date from before then. Okay, and speaking of dates, let's move on to the actual handbook, right? So on the right is a typical Scouts handbook here, where you can kind of figure out, I mean, some of the dates are pretty easy on this one actually to read, signatures not so much. But if you're signing something off, you need to sign it in such a manner that the adult who's going to come later to check to see if everything's done before doing the board review can figure out who signed it off and when it was signed off. So the example on the left here is actually from my handbook, my tenderfoot requirements. And you can see there's a month and a year. Ideally, it'd be a month, a day, and a year. And then the initials that are easy to read. Okay, so much clearer here on the left than it is on the right. Right, and then if you're a scout who's getting their book signed off, and somebody comes and does something, I don't know, like you see here under the tools section, where I have no idea who signed that off, have them rewrite their name. Just ask them to rewrite their name, because we really want to be able to see who did what as far as the sign-offs go. All right. And then the other thing, since we're in pandemic times right now and no one's passing handbooks around to get things signed off, if you're working remotely via Zoom or whatever, and you do some requirements, please send an email to both Scoutmaster and to the advancement chair. Again, that's Craig, and just say, hey, Scout X, so in this case maybe Rowan, worked with Scout B Wilson, and Wilson signed off requirements 1A, 1B, 1C, something like that. All right, just so we have a written document, and then we can go into Scout Book and make sure all the requirements are updated correctly. Okay, so that is a Scout is tested. Next up is a Scout is reviewed. So for all the ranks except for the Scout rank, there's a board of review that every Scout must go through, and it looks probably a little less official than this picture down here for Troop 100. Basically, we ask the Scouts to come in uniform if they've got it. Obviously, sometimes we're at events where the uniform, they're not wearing their uniform, and that's fine in those instances. But it's going to be 3 to 5 committee members asking the Scout questions. And it's not a retest or an examination. It's really kind of more how are things going with the troop. And we really want to make sure that the program is working. So it's not just a review of the Scout, it's a review of the whole program and the troop to make sure that things are headed in the right direction. Okay, these shouldn't be high stress events. You will be asked to recite the Scout Law, the Scout Oath, and the Outdoor Code. But after that, you will probably just be asked questions about how things are going, right? And what things we can change or what things we should change in the troop. So that's a Scout is reviewed. Next up is a Scout is recognized. So we actually recognize Scouts typically 2 different times. We try and recognize the Scout almost immediately after completing a board of review. So at the end of a troop meeting, if we had a board of review, we will call them up when we're doing the announcements. If we're at summer camp, we will call them up at the end of the day and recognize their achievement. And then 3 times a year, typically March, June, and October, we'll have an official court of honor, which is what these photos are of here, where we will re-recognize the Scouts in front of the whole troop and their families. Okay, so that is the Troop 100 advancement. Basically, you will learn, you'll be tested, reviewed, and recognized. And the first 2 pieces of that, the learning and the reviewing, will most likely be done by Scouts up until the time you're up to first class. And then the adults will work with you to sign off your requirements for Star, Life, and Eagle. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to your senior patrol leader or Scoutmaster. Thank you.